Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast, as all professionalism from me goes out the window for the next 15 minutes or so to discuss Forest's huge win away at Anfield. 1-0. Callum Hudson-Odoi pops up and does what Callum Hudson-Odoi does and wins it for Forest in some style. What a day. The first time since 1969, that is. By the way, 4 months Forest won in 1969 after the moon landings. That's how long ago it was. It is really is a generational thing. And someone that wasn't around to see it is the one and only Mark Turner, who joins us. Mark, we did the preview yesterday, and I kind of just text you as I was coming out of Anfield, like, you know what I'm going to ask you, don't you, Mark? You know, you fancy 15 minutes discussing a huge Forest win. You watched it. You watched all of it, mate. You obviously get a bit of a different angle on the TV from me in the away end, but sum up how you feel. I think it's a lot more special for, you know, me and you were talking before we came on. It's a lot more special for your generation, particularly.
Yeah, well, you had the benefit of being at Anfield, so allow me the luxury of this. Here we are, here we go. All aboard and we're hitting the road, here we go. Oh, Forest all over the world. Sorry. There you go.
Brilliant, mate. Lovely.
Now we have to pay for that.
Oh, yeah, I've just realised you've just got us a copyright strike. Thanks, Mark.
I'm sure Rick will give us a pass on that one.
We will.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like, we were talking off air, and I was saying, you know, I'm fortunate and I can remember the European Cup victories. You know, too young to wholly appreciate them, but I was able to register them. And then, of course, we had that purple patch all through the 80s where Forest were basically living at Wembley. And you haven't had any of that. Like, your high spot was Wembley. I mean, it's amazing, really. You started your journalistic career as an embryo back when, you know, Forest were kind of even doing the Championship or flirting with League One. And this all, you know, all your chickens are coming home to roost now, which I'm so happy for you. But yeah, to your point, this is next level for me. I'm not going to lie. When the final whistle went, I had tears in my eyes. I honestly did, which was a touch embarrassing, given that I watched the first half at home and then Trevor and I watched the second half on my phone, sat on the side of the field watching my daughter play football. So all the other parents were like, you were right. But yeah, beating Liverpool anywhere, any day of the week, any circumstances, any competition is mega. But to take them down at Anfield, Max, next level. So I am firstly just so happy, and secondly so happy for you, mate. I'm delighted you're able to be there. I'm sure it was the limbs when Callum stuck in that goal.
Yeah, it was. I was very lucky to be there. Obviously, a lot of people would have hoped that they'd have been there. So very lucky indeed. But just what a win. Mark, let's touch on the performance, because maybe some people will look at that scoreline as a neutral, as, you know, that don't follow Forest or Liverpool, just an avid football follower, and think, oh, Forest just went to Anfield and, you know, got a late goal and it was quite a scrappy win. But it wasn't any of that. Forest, I thought, played excellent from start to finish. Yes, there was a few mistakes in there, particularly in the first half, but overall, that was a great performance from Forest. And Nuno got, for me, everything spot on tactically, and particularly that narrow formation. Me and you question where James Ward-Prowse would fit into the starting lineup. Nuno must have watched that podcast and thought, you know, I'm just going to wind Mark up now and start Ward-Prowse. You know, it was all down to us two that Forest beat Liverpool away for the first time in whatever 50 years. But yeah, just great win, mate. And I just thought Forest got everything right today. It was a solid performance, wasn't it, from start to finish?
Max, it was amazing. And I think of the two of us, I tend to be more cautious. I'm a bit maybe more, I don't know, I hate to use this term because I know you're going to revisit with me later on this, but grumpy old man like. But it's a caution. It's, you know, I've seen too many false storms in the Garibaldi. I'm gonna make a statement here, and I probably shouldn't be doing this, whatever it is, an hour after the end of the game, but this is not a false storm. We've seen progress with this team. It's been incremental, but it's been progress. And it's been progress everywhere. It's been progress in the transfer market. It's been progress off the field and on the field. I wasn't sure about Nuno last season. I think you and I were on the same page in that regard. Wasn't sure he was going to make it through the summer. But, I mean, props, absolute props to what he's done with this group of players and what he was able to conjure up today. It was a masterclass, Max. I mean, to have Callum Hudson-Odoi and Alanga on the bench, like you said, to play a narrow shape, to really force Liverpool out wide, which kind of almost seems, I mean, that seems like the most ridiculous. It's like a suicide mission. It's like, let's just have them play the ball out to arguably the best, one of the best players in the Premier League, Mo Salah. But Moreno, who, if you remember, I was gushing about after the League Cup game against Newcastle, I thought he was man of the match. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it's the whole get home, empty your pockets, phone, wallet, keys, Mo Salah, right? That's what was in Moreno's pockets. Phenomenal performance. But yeah, just throughout. And then the execution of the subs. I use the term flawless. I don't know what else to say. Phenomenal. So what was it like in person? I mean, were you seeing the game unfold? Did it make sense to you when the subs came in? Did it all kind of hang together? I mean, obviously we got the goal, but narratively, as you're watching the game unfold, did it make sense to you, or were you optimistic about where it was going to go?
Yeah. And obviously, all jokes aside about being optimistic yesterday and telling you that I've just got a feeling that Forest are going to win. But I think from soon as the ball kicked off, I just thought Forest made it a very difficult game. It was scrappy. It was typical Ryan Yates game, right? Him all over the place. And I thought actually, first off, Michael Oliver made a few dodgy decisions, and Forest maybe should have just got a few more free kicks. But as the game went on, particularly the home crowd got more and more frustrated. Like they're not used to seeing teams rock up and be quite not dominant at times. That's not the word I'm looking for, but almost be quite resilient.
Yeah, Nuno said that it wasn't dominance, right? It wasn't in possession stats, certainly not. But it was the tempo piece. Like they didn't let Liverpool get in a rhythm. And I would also say, Max, as well, something that was obvious to me, and maybe you saw something different, but I didn't think Morgan Gibbs-White played that well today. I don't think he was terrible, but like we all speculated right after the high of the England debut, and he's been on a bit of a rip so far this season that he was going to really rock up today. Didn't really see that, but similarly didn't see it from Mo Salah either, which, as I mentioned, a lot of that's down to Moreno. But it was curious because arguably the two best players on the two teams didn't really feature that much today. And that, I think, ended up being in Forest's favour because certainly the rest of the Forest team pulled their weight.
Yeah, and I thought Nuno showed great in-game management to take Morgan off. He could see that he was struggling.
Absolutely.
He could see he was having a bit of a poor game. What should a manager do in that situation is to make changes, which Forest did do. And obviously, just after this first 10 minutes of the second half, Callum Hudson-Odoi comes on, and out of nowhere, kind of in the next 5-10 minutes, just and it was kind of. It wasn't wave after wave of attack, but Forest had chances. Like this wasn't a game that Forest just won it by one clear-cut chance. Anthony Elanga threw on goal. Chris Wood probably should have buried that chance that he had a bit of a weak shot from him. So, say again.
Jota had a chance, didn't he?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and there was chances all game. Let me read some comments out as we're live on YouTube and Facebook. Kieran says, "What a win! Whole defense excellence." Has Moreno let Salah out of his pocket? Milenkovic, what a signing! Christian says, "Hands down, the best players we've played since we got back in the Premier League." Ian says,
before you go to Ian's comment, that's a great comment, and I'll tell you for why. Because yes, the Arsenal game was probably the high point up until now. But the Arsenal game, we were really holding on. It was like batten down the hatches, whatever it takes to get over the line. It was a great dogged performance, but it wasn't a complete performance. Today's performance, defensively and offensively, we played without fear. So it's hard to argue against that being our best performance since we've returned to the Premier League. It probably was.
Yeah, completely agree. Ian says every player on that field took full responsibility for their role and each showed leadership. A few more. This one, Mark is so right that this result is one for the younger fans, especially as they unfortunately do not have the wonderful memories us old fans have. Masterclass by Nuno, by the way. Yeah, certainly was a Nuno Espirito Santo masterclass. And I think also, Mark, it's a bit of an interesting. You touched on it a little bit there about this isn't just a lucky win. This is a bit of a statement win to show people the progress that we've made. And Forest are fourth in the Premier League currently. Whether we'll stay there for much longer, we don't know. But this has been the best start in the Premier League, the best start probably to a season in a long time. Even when we got promoted, we were sat bottom after, 7 games? It was something ridiculous like that until Steve Cooper came in. So, this is a bit of a statement win. And this shows people that Forest aren't here to take the mick. And on the train back from Liverpool to Manchester, I was speaking to a Man City fan who was on about the result. And he kind of said that He doesn't understand
Did he
why people have
did he
written.
say nice kit?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And he thanked me for that win.
I wonder if psychologically we got in Liverpool's head a little bit by showing up in that strip.
Do you know what? It's a lovely. Honestly, it's going to become the new. It's going to become the new special third kit, isn't it? Like that famous one in the promotion winning season. This guy on the train was saying to me that this City fan was that he doesn't understand why many of the media wrote Forest off. He doesn't understand why a lot of people predicted Forest to finish in the bottom three. I mean, I even had an Ipswich fan 2 weeks ago say to me that he feared for Forest this season, and yes, it's early days, but you can tell a lot from a team's start to the season. 100%. I do honestly believe that, and I think it's just been an ideal start. It's been a perfect start, a big statement win today, and we can go to Brighton next week, Mark, just full of absolute confidence. The players are flying, and everyone seems to be loving life under Nuno as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a rough patch, right? I think we're not. I don't think any of us are looking at this is the Leicester season, right, where they won the Premier League. There's going to be a rough patch, and we're going to have to navigate it. But I think most importantly, this team clearly has more than enough ability to get us over the line as far as safety is concerned, and perhaps even by way of a Christmas present. I mean, it could even be as soon as that. I think we're going to hit the skids at some point, but I think Nuno is more than capable of negotiating that. And like I said, I don't believe this is a false dawn. I think this is something significant. And also you can see it, Max, in the players, the way they interact with one another and talk about one another. In Callum Hudson-Odoi post-match interview today, the interviewer was asking about Alanga, saying, it was a great ball. And Callum made a point to say, yeah, it was, we have a great relationship both on and off the pitch. And you see that. And I think when you have a group of players who are mates, who clearly enjoy playing with one another, enjoy each other's company, it comes out on the field. And when you combine that with good tactics and incredible hard work, like effort throughout, we were kind of joking. Murillo threw himself at the ball again, not knowing what part of his body it was going to hit, right, with a goal-saving block. But that was happening all over the field. James Ward-Prowse, I want to come back to him as well. You gave him a shout-out. Fair dues. We didn't know, though, how he'd get into the team. He did, and he lasted the 90 minutes. And, I mean, he looked like he'd been there forever. It was ridiculous. Yeah. So, yeah, fantastic all the way around.
Yeah, and also let's touch on that back four defensively, which is where Forest probably won the game a lot of the time, defending. And you just look at Milenkovic and Murillo. We've talked about that partnership lots, but also Moreno. What a debut from Alex Moreno. He had the most successful tackles on the pitch out of everybody, and he certainly had Mo Salah in his back pocket. Same with Ola Aina. I thought he had a great performance. And you just look at that back four now, and you do start to have real confidence in Forest defensively.
Yeah, and you've got Nico Williams coming off the bench.
Yeah,
you've got Harry Toffolo, who's no slouch. I mean, yeah, that back four looks fantastic, and there's depth as well on the bench. It's all good. It's all good. Matt Sowles, if we'll go through the defence though, had an interesting moment. Had an interesting moment, didn't he, in the first half? The yin and yang of Matt, the yin and yang of Forest goalkeepers, let's just say.
Yeah.
Moments of brilliance, and then utter chaos, and you kind of looking at the game through your fingers. So anyway, yeah, got
well recovered, Matt. Well recovered. We seem to have hit Liverpool, and we've got a few Liverpool fans watching. Liverpool supporter here, and I thought Nuno scored slot today reminded me of Atletico. Fair play to you guys. Well played. This one as well. Liverpool fan here. Well played, guys. That was a solid performance as anyone has put up at Anfield. Top one. And I've got to say, actually,
that's lovely. Fair, thank you.
Always do enjoy going to Anfield. It was. I just thought it was an enjoy. Obviously, it helps when Forest get 3 points and you're kind of walking off. Thoroughly enjoyable day given the results. Also, got to give a shout out, Mark. We talk about him loads on the podcast. We're called a Yates loving podcast, aren't we? I mean, come on. Just Ryan Yates. How good was he? Just the kind of the way he controlled. The game was there to be won in midfield at stages. Hence why Forest compacted a lot of it. But he did excellent there, and he. I just thought the way he won fouls and just did what Ryan Yates did, that just massively contributes to 3 points for the club.
Yeah, actually, when you reached out to me to see if I was going to could do a podcast with you, I assumed you'd reach out first to Aussie Dave, but then I realised he wouldn't be able to talk on the podcast because his mouth would be full of humble pie. Just going to leave it there.
Bless him. I actually messaged him, but he's not replied. So I hope he's not been I hope he's not been arrested for a noise complaint. He said that the other month. Yeah, he said the other month he had to get he had a letter about shouting too loud whilst watching Forest.
I remember that. Yeah.
In his living room. Look, we won't stay for long, Mark, because I know you've got a busy day ahead of us.
I do. Yeah, there's one piece of business we need to take care of before we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if you remember on the last show, I told you my mate Trev, who's here visiting from the UK, fellow Red, made a bet with me that if in the incredibly unlikely event that Forest win, I had to do something on the pod. Don't worry, Max, it's not going to get X-rated. Don't worry. Although I am going to take off an item of clothing. I'm going to give you a backstory. So I was very excited when Forest signed Matt Turner. He's an okay player, whatever. You know, they're better goalkeepers, and I'm not sad to see him go. That being said, it was the first time in my lifetime that I've had the chance to buy a Forest jersey with Turner on the back, right? So when they were doing the sales on the shirts this last season, the last month of the season, I thought I'm going to get me a shirt with Turner on the back. But I really don't care for the sponsorship on our shirts. I think I can't, I'm not doing it. So I thought, well, okay, how do I get around that? And of course, the way to get around it is to buy a kid's shirt. In my wisdom, I thought I could probably get away with wearing the largest size kid's shirt. So I ordered one with Turner on the back and had it sent to Trev's house so we could bring it over with him. And he did. And I tried it on.
I'm really not looking forward to this. Slim fit. It is a
very slim fit.
Wow. So this, wow.
But look
how tight it is at the back. Wow.
Oh, so Trev, I did it, mate. Bet to bet. Fair dues.
Yeah.
I am, however, not wearing it out downtown. I'm going to put a different Forest shirt.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, maybe put a different Forest shirt on, Mark, and you can
glow
like I did walking through Manchester. Oh, mate, fair play to Trev. Well done, Trev. Shout out, mate. And I hope you enjoyed watching Forest today. What a win! Right, we'll let everybody go. We shall be back tomorrow with our main episode. It'll be me, Max, and Steve at around 4:00. So we'll be just good to have Max back on as well. We haven't had him on in a while. So we will be discussing the game in more. So do tune in then. This will be out on audio platforms very shortly. And then also main episode tomorrow. So give us a watch then where we discuss the performance in much more depth and probably a lot more professional as I like take my Forest shirt off and actually have, have some tea. I am so I could genuinely just go out now and just I might start drinking. And suppose like you, Mark, the other day, although, drink responsibly and all of that. Right, we shall go. And on a day where Forest beat Liverpool for the first time since 1969, Alex Moreno will get home and he will empty his pockets. He'll have his phone. He'll have his keys. He'll have his match ticket. And he'll have Mo Salah in his back pocket from all of us at Garibaldi Red. Come on, you Reds.